Jojo dreams of mysteries untold, of the woman who lived in the stories of old. Maria, oh Maria, with eyes like stars so bright, guiding through darkness into the light. He hears her whispers in the moon's soft glow. In the secrets of the wind, her voice seems to flow. Maria Orsic, the world changer unseen. In Jojo's heart, you become his queen. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With Jojo beside you, his legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he hears your rhyme. She speaks of love, of unity and peace, of a future where wars and divide cease. Maria, guiding Jojo's heart so true, with a vision of a world that feels brand new. She came with wisdom, timeless and strong, telling Jojo the world we all get along. With every word, she lights his way. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With Jojo beside you, your legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. Through the veil of time, her spirit shines, helping Jojo see the world's inside. She shows him how love can break every chain, turning his sorrow into hope again. So here's to Maria, the mother of dreams, hope and love for the human race. Maria, Maria, forever stay in Jojo's heart, you're guiding his way. With visions of light and the world reborn, he carries your spirit from dusk till dawn. We're changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he hears your rhyme. For Jojo, a heart so true, with Maria Orsic guiding him through. Changing the world in her name, he holds her lights, igniting the flame.
When the chips are down, 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 brothers keep it up, and just live up. When the chips are down, 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 sister, keep it up. My grandma used to say, save a little bit for a rainy day. It's never too late for a shower of rain, and he who feels it knows the pain. For when the chips are down, 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 brothers don't give up. When the chips are down, 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 sisters, keep it up and just live up. It's never too late for a shower of rain, and he who feels it knows the pain. My grandma used to say, save a little bit for a rainy day. For when the chips are down, 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 brothers, keep it up. For the Palestinians now, keep on living up. And a big to you, listener, coming to you with Mama Orsic. 3:47 a.m. 8/16 2025. Boom boom 888. And in Maria's name, may she, with the strength of her hair, may she help us remember who we were right before we came here. Because the good sheep changes his wool. The good sheep changes his wool. Right? You have the sheep. You have the wolf in sheep's clothing. But the good sheep changes back into who she was, where he was. Why? Because that's the game. Why would that be the game? Because you came to fulfill an earthly life that was written in the stars by you. Like I can hear Maria saying, the only thing that ever made sense to me as a little girl, as a young woman, and a 50-year-old woman about astrology, the only thing that ever made sense that I did it, I had to have, like she said, there must be some approval that the true self, this must be the proof that the true self is God. Proof that the true self is God over you. Proof that the true self is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving about and over you. Why? Because he or she lives in a place of perfect joy and creativity and would never, this is exactly what my true self told me, would never take a chance on any sort of loss of this happiness. The only reason for coming out of the egg was the woman. And what she could add. Yeah. It's so strange to look back at yourself. There were, I didn't know it. I swear, I thought I was the greatest believer ever. Christian believer. Because I had, had Jesus himself help me through like an invisible field of depression, and even, it hurts to say it, but it's really bad vibration. To think that people would be better off if you weren't here. I don't even want to say the word. But we're all, there's a world of human beings that were bigger than us. They're different than us, I would say, in my opinion. And they don't want anything to do with us because of our vibration. They know, and I don't know, but they know how to stay in this perfect peace and balance, which takes them higher and higher. And like Maria said, we're imitating that. But we don't know truly anything about this world. And you can say, well, there's lots of books, buddy, book. How do I know what book to trust? How do I know? Because literally it's been proven to me that other powerful beings can make me see whatever they want me to see. And once I start looking at the illusion, I've learned, like Maria said, it's automatic. You automatically begin to be deceived. And that's who you have to change. The person that thinks it's they know something for sure, right? That's the Christian. And what have I been telling you all along? My story. I'm in my foundational things that I've offered are mine. I'm speaking for Maria. Foundational things are very simple. Very, very simple. Like the whole purpose of the avatar created by the true self is to enjoy the true self, to be the fan of the true self, to be the admirer, the respecter. This is what it's after. And believe me, I didn't know anything about myself until I sat at that table out of my body, completely out of my body. It was like I was dreaming, across from this energy man. Until I sat across from him, I did not know anything about this. And it's the one thing that truly comforts me. That, man, when the chips are down, the true self is strong. The true self is not fucking around. And like Maria said, you have a wonderful way of giving anyone the benefit of the doubt. So my flow, my river tells me, I'm not the most powerful person, You people, I'm trying to tell you, I was so fucking lost before that night. And this was the second ritual. I was still so lost because I had the complete context wrong, And in that same, night, was the introduction to Joe. You're fighting yourself in Star Wars, in a movie, basically. But what has encouraged me and has helped me is how strong and sure and absolutely humored by me this energy dude that I really believe was me. I swear, how could anyone, look, this was, I think, I'm not going to boast on my true self, but if I ever did anything, it was genius. And that's why that was the first thing he told me, is these rituals with this woman. He literally said, this woman, your mother, are very deep, complex. And he said to me, it's like a whole life is lived in each ritual. He was like, you already know this. It's not possible that you can remember everything. And he said, you literally went around and made these agreements with your best friends, the people you love the most, that when you come in their energy field presence or hear their voice, it will trigger the memories that you purposely hid from yourself. I was sitting at that table, I slammed my hand on the table like, damn, that's genius. For a way of confirming who I knew before I came here. You might say, well, why is that? They're the only people who are real. That's why you keep getting burned and played and, walked out on. It's not you. It's not your fault. You're dealing with computer people that are programmed. They're AI based on somewhat real information from Venus, but it's also processed in what that person would do in this situation. In other words, for real. For real. technology is that advanced that, yeah, you could be in a simulation from the future, and most of the people that are living here are not plugged in to the Matrix. And a lot of just plain what we see on the TV and through the lens of a camera, internet, TV, whatever, is not real. It's Hollywood. They are full time making up shit all the time. This is magic. Like, magic isn't just getting, it's much healthier to call them ghosts than to call them spirits. Like, it's good for our people to stop using Christian words, And some words need to be redeemed and taken back, but for the most part, like Maria says, we don't need to talk like them. Yeah, the us and them in Maria's eyes is, like she said, the whole reason Crowley won is the Christians. They could have stopped America from entering the war. They could have stopped England from entering the war. Because what did Germany want? Their people back, because they were being murdered in a sectioned off piece of Germany after World War I that was given to Poland. Danzig. I think I've mentioned it before. There's a great book by, I don't know about him. Who cares? His information, it's facts. Patrick Buchanan, The Unnecessary War, where he just goes through history. I believe it's 8 or 9 times Hitler said, okay, we'll go back to Germany, go back to the borders, just give us our country back and stop killing our people. We will end this war right here, right now. And they said, absolutely not. They're doing the same thing. They do it over and over because that's what a ritual is. They're like, these dumb motherfuckers don't even know. They're in the ritual of the end of the world. It's just being dragged out. It's being dragged out so that 666 the Beast, kind of like saying Freddy Krueger can eat more babies and sacrifice more animals. I'd have you know that Miguel Serrano was a complete vegetarian. Didn't eat animals. Only their milk products. So it's like, oh, you're with the hateful guy. You see, everything's been turned around. I was talking about today. I've never stressed this. I got to stress this right here, right now. Do you know what Hitler was really writing about? Have you ever read his words? He was saying English and French and a lot of Europe, influenced by the English, looked down on the Germans and called them second-class citizens and say that we're like cavemen. That all we know how to do is kill each other. This is no bullshit. I'll do maybe I'll do a reading where I read these quotes where he's like, you keep calling us racist because we are calling out the racists who say that they are supreme over us. Have you noticed a certain religion saying that? Gentile? You don't notice that, do you? Why? Because it's bad for your bank account? That's what I hear from people, Bad on the wallet, bad on the pocketbook. Maria tells me, do not fear. There's plenty of our people who are, quote, ghost, ready to help us. And we have, like she said, what's our new mantra? We won. W-E number 1. We are one. That's how you win. That's how you can say we won, is when you are one. And she said, isn't that the peace and security? Would it really matter where you were at? Isn't it truly inside of you? And she said, believe me, I understand some people are more distracted with the matrix than others. And you work hard for that peace and quiet. Isn't that crazy? That's how you know you're a slave. When you're working for peace and quiet in your own life. Or not even necessary quiet. Peace and happiness. How about that? When you're working and giving your life for money, because it's a counterfeit Aryan who turns his back on his homeland. You know, and how do you turn your back on your homeland? By using force and fraud against your own people. You know, like the whole prison Nazi Aryan Brotherhood, just absolute disgusting human beings, you know. Just the lowest level of force and fraud. Just the Aryan Brotherhood is a replica of the Jewish mafia. You know, what do? They deal in dangerous, horrible, addictive drugs and use women for prostitution. Like, this is the essence of horrible fucking people. You know, and that's why we, probably the rest of our talks will always be called, we are not Nazis, racist, or occultists. We're not occultists because we're not hiding anything behind a paywall. That's all it ever was. All it ever was, well, you know, to really go in depth, you got to sign up for the course. You got to come out to our institute and, you know, we'll have a whole vacation set up for you. And on and on. Sorry. And we've been kind of, in Maria's own real way, diagnosing America. Schizophrenic, delusional. Like she said, what's this a mirror of? What is projecting this out? What is this energy? And like Maria said, good for you, JoJo, that I've been doing this for 4 million years. I know this energy. I heard Anton LaVey's son-in-law, who was married to, I believe her name is Zena LaVey. Levi, Anton, L-E-V-I, Levi. Come on now. Come on, dumb niggas. God is Satan. Haven't you read your Bible? Jesus is Lucifer. Well, sort of, but this is the play. You just can't believe how sophisticated the Bible is in using about, 100 different myths to play on your subconscious to weave them all together in a horrible nightmare that God hates you, and the only way he could stop himself from destroying you, throwing you in a lake of torment and fire and torture, is to rip apart his son. It's just, this is not the resurrection of the hero. This is the resurrection of the pedophile. Aleister Crowley, 666-999. And Maria's like, let's lighten things a little, JoJo. Lou, when I met Lou for real, before, or on the side, I was on the side of his throne, and he was talking to me for quite a while, telling me I was going to go home when I died, not to worry about anything about myself, that's done. I didn't even know I was being tested, and I'm good. It's all good. You passed those tests, he told me. And check this out. He started going to like the language, the English language. It has nothing to do with really like Britain or the United Kingdom. It has everything to do with magic, and like, because you can train your mind to look at these symbols and have them mean something on another plane, it can trigger energy, right? He's trying to tell me, like, each letter of the English alphabet is each letter and number is part of a complete, like, sex magic language. And he's like, there's 26 letters for Maria because she's 13. So it's 1313. Because really, it's sort of two alphabets, the English language. And he told me, he said in the numbers too, the numbers that English Europeans use are also part of this whole system that he developed himself. He was like, I gave the definitions and values and everything. Like, this is completely, in your unconscious. You can't possibly remember this because this is something you would have had to study on Venus for a long time. He said, but real quick, I want to prove to you what I'm talking about. And he's like, Maria, your mother has told you that 5's a magic number over and over. 5's a magic number. I was like, yeah, 5's a magic number. I was like, and today's the 5th month of the 5th day. And him and Maria was like, yeah, because May the 4th was with you. And it was a funny joke about May the 4th. He goes, but here we are on the 5th, and 5's a magic number. Do you know why? I'm like, no, not really. I mean, maybe. I said something about the 5th born. I was so excited. I was just like, I don't really know. Something about the 5th born. And he laughed. He goes, put it this way. He goes, 5's a magic number because 6 is afraid of 7. Because 7, 8, 9. Making 5 really the last number. There really are no numbers after 5. And my head went, huh? What? And I looked at Maria. I said, that's from Karen. I said, that's from a song. I know that's something like that. And Karen Desir Armstrong, I don't even know what her name is, Fever Ray. But it's not exactly what she says. He changed it, right? And he was kind of giving me a wink, like I'm the one that dropped this line on her, And I looked at Maria like, what? And Maria said to me, Joe, this is like, we've been alive together for so long. on Venus. It's like we've moved everything over into the magical plane. She said, how many times have I been telling you? What do I do most? I said, you said you go to the park and meditate, or you go in your backyard and meditate, or you go in your bed and meditate. Your meditation bed. And she's like, exactly. She's like, how long have I told you I've stayed in? I said, you said it. You've been in there for months on end without returning. And she said, where do you think I was? I said, oh, you must have been in the Matrix. You must have been in the Vril and Earth. She was like, yeah. She's like, maybe I'm the more soft and emotional than you. Maybe. She's like, because that's how caught up I get when I know people that are in the simulation. I think about it all the time. She's like, I can't help myself. And I just remembered how she was explaining to me that there are not exactly enemies, like she said, more like perverts, more like weirdos, but they're versed in at meditation, concentration, which is imagination, and can enter the matrix. And she said this is a sort of like different sort of possession of a AI person. Or just imagine that a lot of what we're calling demon possession is a black magician possessing an AI person. And that's just fact. You don't want to deal with that. It's because you deny what is in front of your goddamn face. That whole fucking movies that used to be on giant reels just zip through what is fiber optics, like Maria said. And we just take all of this like, whoa, this don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I'm going to go get my COVID shot right now. And my flu shot, Because all this technology and satellites going right around us, right above us, it don't mean anything. Because the only thing that means anything is that Jesus died on the cross for your sins, and that's all you got to know. And you just got to believe that and say that you're bad. You're bad. You ever done anything bad? I mean, imagine the disrespect to ask us someone, have you ever did anything wrong? Oh, it's your business? It's your business, nigga? Fuck you. I mean, Christians are gross. You see, do you people see exactly how I got myself in trouble with the Process Church? Look, I am no beauty myself or anything like that, but you get mad, you don't know what to say, and it's just, it doesn't really sound that powerful to be like, you're evil, even, like Maria said, what defines evil for you? She told me to say this. She said, you need to start saying to people, that's what this is what defines that for me. Like, I'm not letting anyone define things for me. You know why I don't believe in demons? Because I had a direct, 4 or 5 day long battle with something supernatural, and everyone was calling it a demon. It didn't call itself a demon. And blah, blah, blah. And the context was that God created other things besides men. He created angels and demons too, And I came to the reality that was complete in my face. I was looking at it. Bullshit. And what I was seeing was a man doing this through this girl. It was not a monster from another galaxy or planet. Not in the least. No, it was absolutely confirmed that it was man. And then Kristen, herself really confirmed to us how much that, these horrible drugs were the main things being used to almost kill her, keep her at the edge of death, which, I feel like Maria is telling me, yeah, you need to speak for Brother Matt. And in Maria's name, we wish healing on my brother. I was talking about him in the dream and stuff. But my brother, I have not seen in a long time. But we just speak some healing to him right now. And, I'll be kind of brief. But our story real quick was, and you can draw two conclusions from this, and you're free to. That he keeps getting involved with shit like this because he's dumb. That's not true. Certainly one of the smartest people I ever knew, a reader of books, and just a thinking person. And that's why he didn't want to be in the system. That's why he didn't want to slave away 9 to 5 at, picking up trash or delivering people's trash. And he showed up at my house one day and he's like, man, you're not going to believe all that has happened to me the last 2 years. He's like, I can't even believe I've lived through it. And this was like a shock to me because he was traveling around, and I would talk to him every couple of months, and he's here, he's there, he's having fun, he's rapping, he doing some hip hop, mostly in California, camping. He's like, there's all kinds of like free places to camp. So and at times he did have like apartments and shit, but because he's a worker. But he also wanted to find the truth and have time to find the truth. So this is a first story he told me. He goes, Joe, I don't know what is happening. He's like, it's like people have been following me my whole life, and it finally came, to a head, face to face. He's like, I'm in Washington State, and me and this friend of mine decided we sign up on the internet to go work on this organic co-op farm in Florida. And he's like, my friend dropped out of it, so it was just going to be me. And I'm, talking to the people who's got the farm. He's like some half Native American Indian guy. And he said the guy seemed, really cool, all about the land and, this and that. He said, Joe, believe me, I haven't told many people this like I tell you because I trust you won't think I'm crazy. And I'm going to try to make this short because it sounds fantastic. Or I don't even know the word. Beyond belief. But he's like, I get there. He's like, these people pick me up from the airport in this really old, like, pickup truck. And I have to sit in the middle of them. He's like, it was like 2-hour ride to their house. He's like, I got the weirdest vibe from the first second. He's like, so the first night at dinner, he's like, I eat just a little bit of what they cook, and I feel fucking weird. He's like, I'm like, there's fucking drugs in my food. He's like, they come out with this blueberry pie. He's like, this is like after I'm there for 6 hours. Like, I ate like a sandwich at lunch with him. When we first got back, he's like, this is like a late dinner. It's dark out. He's like, the wife is like this 300-pound Native American lady. And the guy is this half white, half Native American dude. He said they're both just fucking weird. He's like, nothing like what they were on the phone. Totally, peace and love hippies on the phone. He's like, and I talked to these people like, 4 or 5 times for like an hour at a time. And he's like, they were just, everything's cool. And he said they brought, the lady brought this blueberry pie up. He said they cut a big ass slice and he put it on a plate and gave it to him. And he said, I would not take a single bite, Joe. And they were so mad. He's like, the guy was like, you're not even going to try it? My wife cooked this, and and just getting mad. He said, I'm fucking starting to feel like, I'm tripping. I'm on, I'm being drugged. And he's like, man, this is like the biggest nightmare within, 8 hours of getting there. He said, so they got this little, like, cabin off their house that I'm staying in. And they take me out there, and he's like, the guy's like, acting kind of mad. And he said, this is like 11 o'clock at night. He said, I go in there. He said, Joe, I am absolutely not kidding. Like 15 minutes later, him and his wife are dressed in like full fucking Indian war paint, feathers, and shit, walking around and around the cabin. And he's like, what the fuck are these people doing, And he said, like an hour went by. And he said it's totally dark, no lights outside of this cabin, just inside. He said in there, they're like walking around the cabin. Now they're starting to like knock on the window. Just like once every once in a while. He said, he's like, what the fuck? They're trying to like torture me? He said, Joe, I'm not kidding you. The woman tried opening the door, and I locked it, and he said, I know they had the key, but I locked it, and there was a chain lock too, He said, but I had that, but he was like, I didn't really think it would hold. And he said, I couldn't even figure out like why they weren't just opening the door. But she's like, he said, I swear to God, he said, she's jiggling the door and trying to jerk the door open, and she goes, we're gonna fucking eat you. We're gonna eat you. We've been waiting, you traitor. He's like, all of a sudden I realized, and believe me, this has something to do with Kristen and the possessed girl in the Rastafarian church. Is the same people that are doing all this. They just operate on different levels. And for real, he said like 3 or 4 times, dude, she like banged on like a window or the door and said, we're gonna eat you. And my friend's fucking telling me this, and he's like, Joe, this is the fucking start. He's like, the next morning, he's like, I don't even tell you how scared I was. He goes, later, he goes, Joe, I heard them on the roof of the cabin. And he said there's like an attic, and you take a thing and you could walk down. He's like, I knew they could come in that little window and down those stairs. He's like, they were just doing it to scare me, I guess. I don't know. He said, He said the next morning, when it got light, he said I had like a couple weapons, you know. He was like, I put my clothes on, I had a knife, I had like a hammer. He said I had my weapons, and I was like, I went to their house, banged on the door, was like, motherfucker, take me home. I mean, take me to the airport, to the bus station. He's like, fucking take me to the bus station, or I'm going to kill both of you. You know, and he said, they were like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? He said they literally completely denied doing any of what they were doing. He's like, Joe, this is the fucking beginning of what I'm going to tell you. He's like, so these fucking people dilly-dally all day, try to feed me again, and I'm like, are you fucking mad? You think I'm going to eat food? He said it was like oatmeal, too, or something. You know, like, are you fucking kidding? He said, so these motherfuckers put me in this truck. He said, Joe, I am absolutely telling you the truth. We have like a 2-hour drive, so the dude fires up a joint and passes it to me. I'm smoking a joint with these two weirdos, and they start talking about how they've eaten people and how they really wanted to eat me, but the spirits were protecting me. He said, Joe, they started straight up saying to my face, like, all of nature is a cycle and you're just food like any other animal. He said, I have never, ever been so shocked. He said, I was leaving my fucking body. He said, the shit that the dude was saying to me was making me just straight up saying to my face, like, we were going to kill you and fucking cook your body and eat you. Like, he was like, dude, I have never, and check this out. So he goes home to California. He's like, I am so done with everything. I'm out in the redwood forest camping where other people I know are pretty close, you know, within a quarter mile or so, with campsites way, way out off of nowhere. He said, dude, I'm literally woke up this one morning, happy as can be, took a little bath in a natural spring, and I took like a gram of mushrooms and was like, I'm just going to lay out in the sun and just enjoy the trees all day. He said, I'm laying there, and all of a sudden, like 3 cops and 2 dudes in suits come up, and he's like, he said, I wasn't tripping hard or anything, but I just literally couldn't believe my eyes because I was so far away from everything. And he said, all of a sudden I look and I got some like Hummer vehicle, you know, that they have driven. He said, my heart just fucking sank. And they're like, there's no camping out here. He said, and I was like, you're trying to freak me out? I mean, you come out here with dudes in suits in a Hummers for campers? And he said they were like, there's no camping out here. Grabbed me, cuffed me, threw me in the fucking police, like, riot vehicle, and just took off. He said there was no, he was like, what about my rights? They're like, you're illegally camping, and you're resisting arrest. This is no true. The whole reason I'm saying this is me and Maria were talking about this dream that she gave me in like 2008, 2009, that showed all of this before it happened. That's no lie. I could, maybe I'll go through the dream. It's a dream where I seen her and Sigrun dancing in a wonderful dance called the Dance of Death, because we can overcome death, straight up. But in respect to Matt, I'm going to finish the story. I'm going to be very quick and try not to be emotional. They take him to the police station. He's like, they're just asking me, interrogating me about shit I don't have any idea about. They're asking me about names about people, and I don't know anything about. I keep telling them I'm a camper. I'm a rapper. I worked at the coffee house in Venice Beach for a long time, and he said I'm trying to give him like some, and they're just like, shut up. We know who you are. We already know who, and he's like, Joe, it was like I was on 100 hits of acid. Like, they were not real people. They, like, no matter what I said, they were like, we know who you are, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, Joe, they took me in this room, stripped me fucking naked. He was like, and this cop in a uniform, the cop who arrested me, and another dude were like, you don't think that, he said they straight up stripped all my clothes off me. I'm in this little room with this bright light on. And this big old dude says to me, you don't think that you only get raped in prison? And he said, I just looked at him like, what? The cops are gonna rape me? He said they were like trying to scare the fuck out of me. He said these three dudes were absolute monsters. He said, so they tell me, turn around and bend over or whatever. Put your hands against the wall. He said, I swear, Joe, this fucking weirdo big cop sticks his finger in my ass and like is like acting like he's fucking me with his finger. He's like, oh, you never heard of a rectal exam? You like that, don't you, buddy? You like that, don't you? He said, dude, I just left my body. I was so numb, and I just couldn't believe what happened. He said, I'm just didn't sleep he said, now I haven't slept. It's one night. I haven't slept through the night. I'm just like, how do I tell someone I was raped by the police? They're never going to believe me. He said, so they come in, bring some food and water. He said, I didn't eat the food, but I drank the water. And he was like, I was fucking totally drugged, where I could hardly stay conscious. I'm stumbling around. He said, it was a fucking nightmare. He said, it's going to, upset me, but he was like, yeah, then they took me into a room and really raped me. And then they sent me to the mental wing and said I was suicidal and that I was a homosexual from San Francisco and that I was going to kill myself, so I needed to be on a watch. And he's like, you know what I'm going to say? They gave me so many drugs, I couldn't. He's like, I was trying not to take them. He was like, but I was so fucked up continually, I couldn't like maneuver them in my mouth. He was like, I couldn't even figure out a fucking way not to take the drugs because you had to take them in front of the cop. He goes, I don't know what happened. I don't even blacked out for weeks or months. He said, the next thing I know, I'm back in the police station with the three dudes who raped me. He said, I didn't sleep for like 4 or 5 days. I'm just terrified. This is a true, absolute. I was sitting on my porch, my friend telling me this. I've known him since he was 5 years old. He grew up like 3 streets down from mine and played on my brother's soccer team and all that. He said all of a sudden they came. He said the very cop who arrested me said, yeah, we're letting you go. Or, you're being released on your own. And he goes, Joe, they fucking drove me like an hour and a half away from where I was. And that was the local police station. He said for some reason they drove me like past the next town to somewhere nowhere. He's like, he literally pulled off the highway and opened the door and said, get the fuck out. You're free. You're free to go. He goes, Joe, swear to fucking gods, I walked for like 10 minutes in a blue van, pulled over like 3 hippie dudes. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you a ride. Where are you going, And he said, I was actually saying I was going back the other way. And they're like, why are you going back that way? It's just more Babylon. He said, they're all talking like hippies. He said, these are older dudes in like their 60s. And this was in 2011. That my friend was telling me this. And he tells me they're driving me in this van. They're like, where you okay, we'll take you the other way. He said they turn around. They're like, where are you going? And they're like, oh my God, you're homeless? Like, he's like, let you come and stay with us for a couple of days so you get your mind clear. We live right by a stream. From the mountain, you can actually fill up your water of fresh mountain water. And we have a cabin with 4 bedrooms. And Matt was like, dude, 20 minutes after I got out of the cop car, I'm getting fully fucking deceived by these people. He's like, these dudes are very smart. The guy's like, oh, I used to work at Berkeley, University of California, blah, blah, blah. He said, I thought, man, dude, these must be real hippies, They have a house in the forest. He said, what's weird is they were going the other way. They turned around to take me the other way, but their house was actually the other way. And so he said, so we're going to their house. And he goes, Joe, I'm starting to fucking absolutely freak out. It's in this gigantic forest. It's like 15-minute, switchback back trails ride. He's like, it's way too close to exactly where I was camping, which was, like he said, he goes, Joe, I'm not kidding you. Where I was camping, it was at least 1.5 mile walk from any place to park. 1 mile from any park, service, place to park, anything. He said there was like 20 serious vegan hippie people out here, and he's like, I knew all of them. He's like, dude, they came and took almost everyone away. And they made the other people leave. And like he said, how did they even know we were here? So he said, I'm getting fucking crazy nervous. Like, these people are taking me back to where I got arrested. How can this be a coincidence? And he's like, I'm telling him. I'm in the back of this van going, yeah, this is right where it was. And they're like, no way. The pigs were fucking with. He said they were all acting, They're like, and he's like, we pull up, and he's like, just one sight at this house, and I was like, this is no way. He said it was like $1 million house or more. He said, I'm just like, what the hell? And he goes, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? He goes, so there's a lady that lives there too, besides these 3 hippie dudes, one lady, and he's like, she's like weird and old and, not really that friendly. He's like, he's like, I'm like 20 years younger than anybody there. He said, like, she was a little younger, but still like in her 50s or something. He said, you know what I'm going to say? So it comes to dinner time, and they're like, camp out in front of our yard. And he's like, Matt, my friend was like, they knew I didn't have my equipment. That I just got out of jail and didn't have my tent or anything. And they keep saying, like, you can camp out there, in our yard if you want, you could. He said, finally, they said, well, you can stay in the house too. It's no big deal, like just a couple days. He said, just oddly. He said, I was like, well, okay, I don't have my equipment. They're like, here, you can have this room. He said, this little tiny bedroom. He said, I just felt like this has all been set up. He said, he said, let me tell you, Joe. There's true psychic ability because I knew something was going on before I knew. He said, I definitely knew. And I'm going to try to be quick about this. He said, I ate a little bit of the food, felt like I was drugged. He said, I went to my little room, and they're like, what's the matter? You all right? You didn't really eat. They're acting all... You want to come out and have a drink with us and smoke with us? And he said, I'm like sick. I'm like drugged. He said, no, I'll just see you in the morning, He said, after the first thing I did when I got dropped off by the cop was walk to this gas station. I bought a box of cereal. He said, listen to this. He said, I put the cereal in a specific place in the cabinets. And they even said to me, like, hey, you want to put your stuff here? You can put it up here. He said, I get up in the morning. I go to get my cereal, just to eat some dry cereal. He goes, it's like one shelf below where they told me to put it. He said, so I'm like... Why? Who the fuck fucked with my cereal? These people are rich. They got $1 million house. Why would you be fucking with my cereal? He said, I'm like totally fucking paranoid. He said, I'm like, dude, something is fucking up with these people too. He said, I am not kidding. The dude who owned the house, seconds later, walked in and was like, oh, you having your cereal? You gonna have your cereal? He said, I'm just feeling like, what the hell is going on here? He said, so I'm starting to think, I gotta get away from here, before they kill me or something. He said, so just I'm trying to figure out, what do these people do? Do they leave the house? Am I going to have... He's like, so two of them leave. Two dudes leave. And just me and the lady. And he's like, she looks, pretty out of shape and unhealthy. And this really older, even older than the other guys, hippie dude, he's like... I'm just looking at him like, fuck, man, I'm just going to get my bag. I got one little bag. I'm just leaving. Fuck this. They're going to kill me anyway. He goes, Joe, I fucking took off down their path. He goes, I'm not kidding. I walk 2 minutes. Here comes a dude on a golf cart. Where are you going? What are you doing? And they're like, oh, let us drive you. That's way too long. You can't walk. He's like, so they get me to come back to the house. They're like, we're going to barbecue, He's like, they knew exactly what they're doing. They're like, we can give him, something that can't be drugged, like a steak or a chicken wing or, you know what I mean? He's like, they were trying to... He goes, so I eat dinner with them. I go to my room. He goes, I fall asleep. He goes, Joe, I'm not kidding you. Like in the middle of the night, I wake up, I'm handcuffed to the bed. And two dudes are carrying the whole bed. He said, not just my hands, my feet too. And I'm tied up too. I'm tied to the bed too. He said, I've never been so scared in my life. He said, two dudes are carrying the bed into the living room, a big living room. He said, where they had all these works of art and shit. And I don't want to go into every detail. Maybe I will someday, or maybe Matt can come on and tell us. And this is where it kind of dissects with my dream. Whew. So he said, they take me out, I'm handcuffed and strapped down. They're like, the more you fight us, the worse it's going to be. Just get in. Just give up. Just give in. And he said, Joe, I'm not kidding. These like 60-year-old weirdo, stinky hippies are like, the first thing you owe us is a little ass. I mean, you are staying in our house. And he's like, I start trying to reason with these people. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? You know, you're going to rape me? So, he said, and this is being woken up in the middle of the night. He said, and they have this fucking needle, syringe and needle. He's like, they finally like pinned me down, shot this needle, and it just paralyzed me. Like, he's like, they unhandcuffed me, put me in what looked like a hospital bed with like an IV hanging. And he was like, man, he's like, it was just like the worst. I kept saying to myself, am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? He's like, it's the second time I was raped in like a month. And I'll just quickly, I can't even describe the drugs they were giving him. He would have to describe it to you. But they got him in this hospital bed where they could strap him down. His whole body strapped down. And I'll just tell one real quick that I remember. He was like, dude, they were giving me something that was, he said the first thing they were doing was laughing at me and saying, you're going to die, you're going to die. And he's like, they gave me something, Joe, and I died. Like, I went out of my body, seen that I was dead, that my heart had stopped, and watched these fucking freaks go, okay, now put that shit in that IV, and me come back to life and go back into my body. See, this is the real eternal warfare. It doesn't stop. These people they're not going to repent. And if there was a just God, that he couldn't be just if he would forgive these people. So this is going to never end. It's a fact of life. That's why we came here. We came here to fight with these people and tell these people, like, you're not all that. You pick on weak people is what you do. But he told me they were giving him this drug that was making him go forward, and they were telling him this. This is going to make you go forward in time. He said, Joe, not kidding. As soon as it hit my bloodstream, everything went into like super fast motion till like 5 minutes in the future. And then I went back to my body and then watched everybody say and do everything that I seen they were going to say and do. He's like, they have a chemical to do that. He said, check this out. Then they brought this painting of it like a desert and a mountain. And they were like, we create reality through this pharmacological chemical warfare. For real, that's what they were saying to him. And they said, hey, listen, you're our slave. We're going to put you in the desert, slave. Like the Bible, you're going to be in the desert for 40 years, you slave. He said, they gave me this drug. He said it could have been like some kind of synthetic DMT or something. He said, and Joe, I couldn't help it. I just got like sucked through some kind of energy tunnel, and there I was, exactly living in the desert of the picture. And I was screaming and shit in the desert going, I have nothing to drink, stop this, bring me back to my body. And I don't want to, in one of my rituals, to verify everything I was saying, Maria had me switch bodies with him, and I experienced some of this very scary stuff, Nothing like what he did, but I had to sit there and watch it and be in his body and feel it. And, check this out. So he said, this goes on for like 3 days. He's like, then they gave me something to sleep, and he's like, I don't know how long I slept. Like days, it seemed like I slept for days. He said, I'm not joking, man. I woke up, I was so hungry. And they're like, eat your cereal. Hey, your box of cereal is over there. Why don't you get your box of cereal? He's like, just like nothing happened. He said, my fucking ass was horrid. Like I had been raped many times while I was passed out. He's like, these people are fucking so gross, Jeff. And check this out. He said, check this out. He said, when I woke up, he said, the 3 dudes and the lady was there. And he said, and I looked, and he said, my eyes could not comprehend what I was seeing. And the cop who originally arrested me. He said, I'm not playing, Joe. The very same cop took me, put me in the car, really didn't say anything. He said something to me like, why are you trespassing on these people's land again? I told you to stay off their land. He said he took me like 2 blocks away from the original police station, stopped the car, said, get out, you're free to go. He said, so check this out. He said, so I, find some people. I get a phone. I get some people, my friends, to help me. He said, like a week later, because they took everything that I had, my ID, everything. He said, Joe, I swear on my life, this is real. He said, I went to like the California DMV to get a driver's license. Or just a state ID, whichever I could get. He said I had a valid driver's license. I was hoping they would just renew it, give me another one. He said, I'm in there and I have my birth certificate and something else. He said, and the lady's like, Matt, saying his whole name, like, I can't find you. I can't find you. He's like, he said his exact middle name and whole name. She said, this looks like your date of birth and your name. He said, she literally like took the computer and turned it around and said, look, but the picture ain't you. Ain't nothing like you. And he goes, yo, I'm not kidding you. The picture of me was the cop that first arrested me and dropped me off twice in the middle of nowhere, dropped me off where I got kidnapped. And he said, I forgot to say, they kept saying to him, all we're asking you is to leave California. We're banning you from California. California is ours. And you're not allowed in California. He said that's what this cop was saying. Both times when he drove him and let him out, he said he let him out like, now you listen. You get out of California. California's ours. He said in the same thing when the same cop took me from the kidnapper's house and dropped me off the street. Same thing he was saying is, if you've learned one thing from this, is you better get out of California before you end up dead. And check this out, I should say this too. When I was talking to him, he's like, Joe, this is so fucking crazy and real. I feel like I have to tell you, like I'm responsible to tell you. They told me they put like something in my eye that records everything that I see in my life. And they're like, we're going to watch for anyone who's sympathetic to you or tries to help you. And we're going to do the same thing to them. And I would say, you know, in my personal experience with Kristen, Matt was the person closest to me, fighting the hardest, trying the hardest to figure out what the fuck was going on. And you know, I wanted to have him tell his story, but it's just too important. Like, I sat on my porch for hours listening to him. I mean, we cried together. It was a terrible, horrible thing. And, you know, another thing is, he said, while I was on the drugs, I had a memory of my dad and me at this park. And his dad was in the military, in sort of a weird branch of the military, too. And everything is weird with his dad, too. Got out of the military, had a family, and then got divorced and became a Catholic monk for like 4 years or something. Then became a cop. Okay? And then hated that and became a mailman. And you got the sense from this dude that he was trying to figure something out. For real, I didn't get a bad vibe from him at all. But there was something like so, you know, you could just see it in his eyes, like, I am troubled, you know. And Matt told me I never knew what it was. And he said, on these crazy drugs, I left my body and had this memory. He's like, and Joe, I swear to you this. He said, I had this memory that me and my dad and my older brother went to this park. Like, my dad must have been off at work that day. I was like 3 or 4 years old. He took us to this park and we're playing on the playground. He said, and all of a sudden I ran to my dad and could tell he was nervous and shit. And I looked over, like a couple picnic tables over from ours was 2 guys in suits. And I just thought, that's weird. I know, you know, never seen a dad in a suit. He said, I'm a kid, a little kid. But he said, now I'm on these drugs strapped to this fucking table. I'm seeing this shit and I'm remembering this shit and going, what the fuck's really going on here? What really happened to my dad in this thing? He said, and I see my dad keep looking over there and I keep asking him. And I finally say to he said, then 2 more guys in suits walk over. 4 guys in suits sitting on a picnic table, talking real low. He said, I couldn't hear a word they were saying, even though they weren't too far. He said, my dad was really nervous. And he said, in my vision, I didn't know if I was tripping or what the fuck was happening. He said, but it seemed like one of the dudes in the suits looked like this cop that did all this to me. He said, I'm going, oh my God, that's the guy that arrested me, on the drugs. And he said that was like, 32 years previous. And this is the important part. He said, in real life, Joe, he said, I totally remembered that I said to my dad, who are those men over there? And he said, my dad said, they're watching us. They're spying on us. They're men from the future. Don't be afraid, though. Because there's nothing we can do, he said. There's nothing we can do, so don't be afraid. Just go play. And could it be all as simple as just collecting data on human responses and human behavior? Maria said, to discount that possibility means you do not know your enemy. Do not know who these people are. These people are scientists. They're all about data. They are constantly doing that. Constantly their motivation is to improve the mind control in the simulation. The slavery of Thelema, right? What builds the pyramid? The slaves. What builds the pyramid? The slaves, right? The slaves under that slave, under that slave, under that, and all the way up to the top. And this one guy, 666 the Beast, gets to say, hey, everyone agreed that I'm on the top of the pyramid, and y'all have to do what I say. I'm the only one who's not somebody else's slave. Even the two people under me are my slave. Like he said, they might have thousands under them, but them two are mine. I own them. Like Maria said, this is a very uncomfortable world for people like us, Joseph, but that is what keeps us fighting. Like she said, do you think that it's not worth my time? And she said, we know that the true damage is always mentally. Who cares? Just imagine if you had a great healthy body, but inside your mind, you're tormented because you're just like, nothing makes sense. I feel bad. I feel unsure. I feel uneasy. I have no peace, Like Maria said, that's the whole enjoyment of the true self. Like, why should you never take... it should be a law within you, and it should be activated when you hear me say it. Put nothing bad in your body, because you absolutely cannot expect anything good to come back, And with that, let us speak, a 555 word of wisdom, word of healing to our blood, our simulated astral. What is important about your blood? It carries your memory. Mama. Mama. And, how can we... I am in the process. You can do it with me. How can you... okay, we concentrated on the first part of Mother's favorite Bible verse. And people, how dare you said burn your Bible? Yeah, except if you can understand it, it's also the greatest trick ever played on humanity, which means there's the duality of the... you might say the subjective truth. Like, how should you... I don't recommend this, but the way you could use a evil book is divination. In other words, communicating with yourself and your gods. If you completely took the Bible out of context and read it as completely a myth and kind of a dark myth, then you can see what we're saying about this favorite verse of Maria's, which says, and you can, like she said, first of all, it didn't originate with the person who stole it from the original, of course. She said, so respect to the originator who put it this way. Do not be conformed to this world's image, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Like she said, a good sheep can change her wool. A good sheep can change her wool. And absolutely mean it. And the source of sickness, the sickness behind the sickness, is healed by the energy behind the energy, which is the blood memory. What's actually keeping you alive? The memory of why you came here and what you can accomplish and why you want that. Why do let me speak plainly to you, Maria. After a while she said, Joe, I guess and she wasn't going off on me, but she was like, I'm just going to say it this plainly to you. The gods, the purpose of the magic marriage to the two women was a much larger purpose in that they're helping you, accommodate you if you pass these initiations. And that goal is to imagine your own world like Lucifer is right now. And because you can invite people there, and it will just be a much it will be a natural world through your imagination that is very adaptive to your vibration. And she said, could there be any other heaven than your own heaven? I mean, only this could be heaven. That, like, you have all the codes to nature, and you're like, holy, I can create. It's not a virtual world. It's a world inside of me. And what? I can make myself forget completely, totally that I'm not physical, like you do when you're dreaming, and live, like Maria said, forever without dying in that world. Like she said, I'm telling you right now, Joe, for real, I'm not lying to you. Lucifer, he came to visit me on Venus. He made several visits, not to me, but he used to come to Venus very often because he is our giant. With Diana, none of the other ones really want to have anything to do with us. Smaller men. And he told me, I've been in a deep, deep initiation. Like I told you, I was going to be gone for a while. Me and Donna and Hella and Jason. And he told me, we will never lose connection. We will always be one, and you're the first person invited to our world. As long as you want to live, you can live there permanently, as far as we're concerned. She said, but he told me, deep within me, I always knew this is the answer. And she said, he showed me, like, there's a special place that the very, very highest priest of the sun of the natural order of the old giants order, the old order of astrology, the old zodiac order. He's like, have prepared a place real high in these mountains in Aldebaran. And there's a place where only a few hundred men and women lie in these perfect meditation states, and the agreement with the priestly order is as long as they exist, they will protect the meditators forever. Because it's the choice of... But it's not your choice to say, well, I just want to imagine my own world. Like Maria was saying, no, it's very complicated. Like, if there's 100 billion people, and there's only, a few hundred people on each planet that's in this, that's a very small percentage. And I asked Maria, why don't you do that? And she's like, because I want to be the mother to these children, and I do live in Lou and Diana's imaginary world that you call the Matrix, the hologram. I lived there half my life, so I kind of have the best of both worlds. And I've been doing this so long, and she said, believe it or not, Joe, I've never been asked by the gods to take an initiation to imagine my own world. You know why? I said, because you're the mother. All these people, they can't be without their mother. Like, your presence is that great. It's that beautiful. She's like, oh, you're sweet. But it's true. It's like, certain electromagnetic people like Marilyn Monroe. Right? And that, like, echo vibration for a long, long way. And just to wind up and land here, we just speak healing of a new oxygen that cleanses your lungs, and a new breath that cleans your airways, and a vibrational upgrade to your inner strength, and a special red and blue. Like, these colors are colors of protection. Like, we protect you with the swirling red and blue because we truly Amor you, our brothers and sisters, love without death. We love you.
Mother's style was a sight to behold, in that purple dress, so bold and cold, with heel boots from days that seemed lost. She danced through time, never counting the cost. Oh, genie in dreams we trust, fate weaves tales and magically rise. I dream of genie, wise and free, with laughter and love she'd always be. Through life's ups and downs we face, in the dance of our dreams we find our place. Wise words from mother, a lesson in grace, winning by losing life's endless race. With each twirl, her elegance flowed, in a world of illusions, her true self glowed. Right, lady, we both know the score, in the game of hearts, we always want more. I'm true, genie, wise and free, with laughter and love she'll always be. Through life's ups and the downs we face, in the dance of our dreams we find our place. So here's to the moments, the lessons we gain, in the whispers of wisdom, joy conquers pain.